Fila Disruptor. What a madness. Well, in the wrong way, that is. Why does everyone hate this pair? Seriously, it's a question we should ask ourselves. It's a pair that we all know, and often it's for all of the wrong reasons. For many of you, it's one of the ugliest pairs of the past couple years. There are so many negative preconceptions about this pair, so let's try to understand why. But in this video, we'll also see that the Disruptor is far from being a disaster, and maybe not all the hate surrounding it is as justified as it seems.
What's up, baby? Did you miss me?
While other sneaker channels talk about the latest Travis Scott collab, we're here to discuss a catastrophic pair that everyone hates today, the Fila Disruptor. We need to try to figure out why this pair has faced so much criticism from everyone. We'll dive into the facts, the concrete details, and all of that by tracing the history of Fila, especially the Disruptor. Let's not lie, Fila is seen as a whack brand nowadays, but the OGs watching this video know that it wasn't always the case. Even if it may seem crazy for you younger guys out there, back in the day, Fila was a major hit worldwide. But of course, to get you guys to really understand what was going on, we'll need to provide some historical context, like always. Fila is an Italian brand that has been around for ages, and it's always been quite successful, starting at a regional scale and then expanding nationally before becoming internationally recognized. What interests us in the brand's history are in the 90s when the sneaker world was at the beginning of its peak.
Football, baseball, and basketball too. Pony shoes are #1, made just for you.
Back then, unlike today where we all wear almost the same brands, the market was extremely wide, with a seemingly infinite range of brands in the game. LA Gear, Avia, British Knights, SPX, Troop, Mitre, Travel Fox, High Tech, and many more. The list is still very long, and even though nobody pays attention to these brands anymore, or they've simply disappeared, at that time there was room for everyone. People weren't completely brainwashed by Nike, Adidas, or Puma yet, but of course these three were already big players, and alongside them you could find other brands, including Fila, one of the most worn brands by American rappers, and it wasn't for no reason. Their tracksuits were popular, but they also had a solid range of sneakers compared to other brands of that era, especially when it came to their basketball shoes, which were among the best-selling pairs in the United States. We're thinking of something like the Fila Grant Hill, famously worn by Tupac, but they also released another pair that did well, the infamous Fila Disruptor. And it definitely wasn't a pair for middle school girls. Fila was a brand in the sportswear and hip-hop world, and the Disruptor was specifically targeted towards young men. The Disruptor sales were on point, and it was another successful pair for the brand without being the greatest thing ever. Fila continued its journey towards success, well, until the 2000s when, without really understanding why, the brand completely disappeared from the radar, just like many other sportswear brands that either vanished or lost a lot of popularity around the 2000s. It was probably due to the giants, Nike, Adidas, and Puma, who simply managed to monopolize the sportswear market, leaving other brands to fight over the crumbs.
You are making $500,000 and you were only gonna pay me 30?
You're getting 30 grand? I'm getting 1,000.
You guys are getting paid?
Fila ended up being seen as a somewhat low-budget brand that no one really paid attention to, but they managed to survive. We didn't hear much from Fila until 2015 when the brand made a strong comeback. I don't know if you remember, but at that time there was a resurgence of 90s streetwear fashion, and suddenly all the middle schoolers started wearing Fila, Champion, and Tommy Hilfiger. Basically all the popular streetwear brands from the 90s. By the way, these brands are pretty much clones. They make similar products, use the same colors, and they all had similar strategies, selling at lower prices and targeting a very young audience. But anyway, the Fila brand rose from the ashes and regained popularity. Yet, even until then, nobody paid attention to the Disruptor, despite the fact that the pair had been around for over 20 years. We had to wait for another trend to bring the Disruptor out of the closet. That happened in 2017 to 2018 when Balenciaga released the Triple S, shining the spotlight on ugly fashion and dad shoes. This was the perfect moment for Fila's Disruptors, and they made a comeback with the Disruptor 2, which was essentially the same as the Disruptors from the 90s, but with slightly different materials to improve the comfort of the pair. You know the rest of the story. It was a huge success. It was probably the best thing to happen to Fila since the brand's creation. The pair you love to mock actually boosted Fila's sales by over 60%. They sold 10 million pairs in 1 year, and the reason for this success is simple. It's the ultimate dad shoe at an affordable price. For about 50 bucks, you could get something very similar to the Triple S, which costs over $800. It's unbeatable in terms of quality to price ratio, and its chunky shape perfectly matched the trendy trendy look of that time. The Disruptor became a must-have for middle schoolers, and you could spot the pair absolutely everywhere in all sorts of colors. They obviously rode the wave and created various parallel versions. Disruptors with Velcro straps, Disruptor platforms, the sportier Disruptor Run, and the Disruptor 3 with slightly modified shape and leather inserts. They fully exploited the model to the last drop, just like we do with that guy in the spiky jacket. In the end, they did the right thing by bringing back the Disruptor. It gave the brand a second wind and was even voted as the 2018 Shoe of the Year. Well, it was awarded by footwearnews.com, a random website that talks about shoe news, so that doesn't really hold much value, and it's not official at all.
Okay.
This commercial success brought in a lot of cash for Fila and renewed interest in the brand. We saw many collaborations, not only something like the Disruptor with A-Life, for example, but broader and more prestigious collabs, like the one between Fendi and Fila. But the fact that this pair had such a massive impact on the sneaker and fashion world is also what brought so many detractors to the Disruptor. The pair was roasted all over the internet because it's an easy target that someone can relate to. The Disruptor is extremely well known, and everyone has seen someone wearing it, so it received thousands and thousands of memes. It was the same joke over and over, highlighting how big and ugly the pair was. Ironically, that's why the pair sold so well. And the Fila Disruptor wasn't the only one to be mocked. Balenciaga's Triple S probably faced even more memes than jokes on social media, and for the exact same reasons. However, the Triple S better withstood the criticism, and its image is almost untarnished today. In fact, there has been a significant shift in perception towards that pair, and there's a reason for that. Balenciaga is a prestigious brand with a strong value in people's eyes, whereas Fila is seen as an ordinary, cheap brand that not many people care about. The Balenciaga Triple S is a luxury product, inaccessible to most, while the Fila Disruptor is a pair that costs next to nothing and everyone has in their wardrobe. The Triple S is worn by influencers, celebrities, people with money, or those who don't have it but are interested in fashion enough to spend $800 on a pair of shoes. On the other hand, you see Disruptors more on the feet of screaming middle school girls in the back of a bus who dress like an army of clones. In short, the Disruptor became a victim of its own success. It turned into a pair worn by everyone and people got tired of it. Many didn't understand the concept of the pair. It's meant to cater to the demand for chunky and ugly dad shoes, and it does the job perfectly at an unbeatable price. It was quite a successful pair for its time, perfectly suited to the dad shoe trend of today. We can make fun of it, but it was incredibly profitable and a huge commercial success. I don't know if you realize, but not many brands are capable of releasing a best-selling product like that. What's even more impressive is the fact that they managed to revive a product that was originally meant for a completely different audience. Initially, you were more likely to see a rapper from the Bronx wearing this pair rather than a girl in your math class. But they completely convinced people, and it became the go-to pair for young girls without even changing anything about the pair. In short, don't underestimate the Fila Disruptor. If we're honest and objective, the pair has charisma. It's highly recognizable, and its shape is quite unique. You can insult me, but I find it much more harmonious than the Dunk Low Disrupt. And if they sold so many pairs, it's because the design is highly effective. The pair is still ugly, and the Fila logo doesn't evoke much. Obviously, I'm not the target audience, nor am I a 40-something wearing snapbacks, so naturally, I don't have a special attachment to this kind of 90s brand. But beyond the product itself, it's mainly the marketing behind the pair that impressed me. They were sharp, they knew it was the right moment to bring back the model, and they made millions of dollars with minimal effort. Well played. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think about the Disruptor and why you hate this pair.
If that boy keep on talking, he gon' end up as a hashtag. I got no time for these bitches, I got no time for renting. Free my niggas out of cell, free Uncle Demon, free Lil Man. I don't even want that bitch no more, little nigga, you can have that. I just want a couple Molly pills and fuck hoes on my birthday. When I was younger, used to chase these hoes, little nigga.